different formats. You can see the color codes, the gray, the orange, the reds, the greens, and within that a small stream of renewables also. So in terms of the total energy, and which is a formal way of energy accounting, the share of renewables is abysmally low. It is having a preponderance of the fossils, the three different formats: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid means coal, liquid means oil, gas means the natural gas. So these three are having a great, you can say, a substantial share in the global energy scenario. And in spite of tremendous efforts to promote renewables, their share has not risen beyond a certain, not even touching the double digits. Obviously, if we account for the non-commercial formats, as we see in the developing world and the underdeveloped world, probably people using a lot of rural energy, the firewood, the waste from the agriculture, which is not accounted in any commercial denomination, that is probably would be adding to something more on the renewables front. Otherwise, in commercial energy terminology, the share of renewables is abysmally low, and irrespective of a lot of efforts been put by different agencies. And in terms of the share, it is very interesting to see slight dip in the coal in the last 5 to 7 years, but a corresponding increase in the share of gas, which is in a way displacing coal in many of the developed economies, including Europe and the United States. Oil was basically used in some countries initially for generation of electricity, but now it is mostly used as a transport fuel, plus some of the industries also use it as a raw material, but more or less it is holding its high. So irrespective of the type of hype we hear on electric vehicles, if you add these three fuels, the quantum is almost 80%. In last 10 years, 15 years, if you add these three of them, the total quantum would be around 80%, more or less. The share of hydro is almost constant since last 5 to 7 years. The share of nuclear is also constant. It was rising, but after the Chernobyl and the Fukushima, the adoption has been a bit slow. And we can see a slight surge in the renewables in the last 3 to 4 years because of the growth, or you can say the focus on solars. But in the total portfolio, the share is very low. It hardly makes any impact. In terms of the electricity generation mix, this is an old table, but because I was unable to get a new table, but if you can see almost a static kind of thing with coal having a predominance, almost 40% share, dip in oil because oil has mostly been displaced. Oil was initially used in 70s when it was initially discovered in Texas, and some of the Middle East countries also started using oil for generating electricity, but slowly it was used or substituted by coal. Why? Because oil was having a good export market, easy to export. And renewables, in terms of the new energies, which is typically known as the biomass, the solar, the wind, they constitute around 10 to 15%. And maybe small hydro in some countries is also considered as renewables. So not more than a quarter of the total global electricity is dominated by renewables, in spite of a third of the total generation capacity based on renewables. Now, the simple answer is the renewables are having lower capacity utilization factors of the PLFs. So solar, a plant is there, say 100 megawatts, it can't run more than 4 hours a day. Why? Because sun is only available for 4 to 5 hours. Coal can work 6 times the same rated solar plant. Why? Because it can run with the fuel which is available 24/7, which is a coal or gas or oil. And we can see coal almost still dominating the world. Obviously, it is now getting, the older coal plants are not being now recommissioned or retrofitted. They are being substituted by gas plants in most of the countries. Why? Because gas is something which is more easy to use, which is quite cheaper. After the fracking in US, America has become energy independent. And also, new coal plants are having difficulty in funding. We can see the Adani plant in Australia having a lot of issues. In India also, we will see in the coming slides, the charts show that the share of coal is constant. It is not increasing, but the new plants are not being added up. Sorry. In the global energy market, obviously there is a growth of energy requirement by around 1.5 to 2% on an annual basis. So the growth would be higher in countries like India and other developing world, Nigeria, African countries, Southeast Asia, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. China is almost now constant, but in developed worlds, it is in a way stagnant or in a way coming down gradually. But overall, the growth figures reflect around 1.5 to 2% growth in energy. Now, if you just see, there are two aspects to curb the GHG emissions. One is that you replace the existing assets. The second is you meet the new additional requirements by only the green fuel. So only for the new part itself, that will be a good amount of renewables to be added, while the existing plants are having good amount of legacy issues and also some kind of investments being made, which is difficult to overnight change with or replace with the green technologies. It is difficult, even for the Indian grid, is difficult to have share of renewables beyond a certain levels unless there are some stable technologies like batteries or maybe some other kind of storage mechanisms. Indian energy sector, you see, almost similar to the global portfolio, except very large share of coal and very low share of gas. Why? Because gas was once touted as a good upcoming fuel after the discovery of the gas by the Ambani group in the KG basin near the coast of Andhra. But after that, there was a kind of lull in the activity. There was no new discoveries because of price distortion and ineffective marketing. The gas has not picked up in the country. And we do have a lot of dependence on the imported fuels. So when we tie up with international market on a long-term basis to make some kind of plateauing of the volatility in the pricing, it may indirectly act as a double-edged sword. Why? Because if there is a crash in the prices, we will not be able to take much advantage of it. So that is the case. India is having issues with Qatar and other countries wherein we have signed up long-term gas deals at rates years back. Now the rates are lower than oil in many markets. So we can easily replace. And incidentally, or unfortunately, our almost 30,000 megawatts of oil-based, gas-based projects in country are underperforming. They're not having enough gas. So they run at PLF of as low as 10-15%, whereas they can run at as high as 95% because of non-availability of gas at cheaper rates or market distortions. So court comes into picture. They will say that reduce the rates. You give priorities to the natural gas grids, the CNG vehicles, which really distorts the market. And almost a constant share of bioenergy and waste, because we do have a lot of population, whether in India or other developing, underdeveloped countries, which is dependent on these informal energy resources. In terms of the final energy usage, there has been a gradual increase in the use of energy by industry, by services, by the residential sector, and also by the transportation sector. And obviously, when we see the very few bright spots in the energy market, global energy market, yesterday, I think day before yesterday, there was a conference wherein Prime Minister also participated. And they said that obviously India would have huge needs. Why? Because its current average consumption is almost a seventh or a sixth of the global average usage consumption level. So we will be obviously growing or requiring more amount of energy, whether it is green or brown or black, whatever is the term suits you, but we need energy. Now, interestingly, this is an interesting chart. If we have 100% kind of percentile basis, we'll see the coal almost getting capped. The gray bars are the coal bars. Gas and diesel almost packed. The green ones are increasing, and the blue ones are also getting reduced. Now, this gives a distorted picture. Why? Because we are not adding any additional hydro fuel, but we are adding more of renewables. So the total amount of green or clean power in the grid mix is almost constant for last 50 years. Why? Because hydro, which was having share of as high as 40% in 50s, 60s, 70s, when the Bhakra Canal, the Hirakud dams, the Tungbudra, a lot of dams were built up. The Narmada Sarovar in 80s, the Tehri Dam in late to 1990s, everything came up before the start of solar and the wind revolution. But then we stopped adding these hydro because of some environmental issues, and we were not so strong in the civil engineering works. That's why. And we had a lot of focus on the Himalayan rivers. So this was also a challenge for the government or the policy makers. And we added more of cleaner or robust or technologies like solar, wind, which were more clean, more easy to install. So you can see the coal share is almost constant. The share of gas is constant. The nuclear is constant, but the total clean energy is constant. But the share within the portfolio of green energy, the newer greens have increased, like solar and wind. And you can see the total installed capacity in the country is around 400 gigawatts. Around 200, half of it is coming from coal, and around 35 each from solar and wind, and around 40 from hydropower. Hydro is almost constant, but we can see an increased share of the blue bars and the yellow bars, which are solar and wind. Gas is almost constant, hardly any. The performance-wise, gas is hardly any contributing anything. And nuclear is around 20 gigawatts. We are having issues with the nuclear reactors and other things. Now, if you see this chart, these are left and right charts. The left one gives the growth of the total energy sector. The right one gives the share in the last 5 years, what has been the addition. So you hardly find any addition of thermal power in the last 4 or 3 or 4 years. 7, 5, 6 gigawatts. Yes. And the solar is being added more than 10 to 12 gigawatts per year. So that is a kind of changes we have seen in the last 4 years. And these are really remarkable years in the Indian energy context or transformation. Why? Because this now will sow the seeds for the future transformation, wherein we'll need to have round the clock green power. And the latest tenders from the Solar Corporation of India have given good indication to the investors and the technologies companies that they need to plan. So we have a tender of 2000 gigawatts, wherein one company, Adani and the Greenco, they have to provide 24/7 green power, whether it is solar, wind, hydropower, anything. So that is why or even battery storage. So now these are the new tenders which have come up in last 6 months, and this has really now sown the seeds for the future energy, wherein we have some kind of limitation in terms of the intermittency of the variable power. So we need to have something which is stabilizing that kind of power. Hydropower, pumped hydro is one of the good options. Maybe battery storage, maybe something of wind solar hybrid also good. And this also pictures gives the share. So the coal was added as high as 20 to 15 megawatts, gigawatts per year in the 15-16. In last 3 to 4 years, coal addition has almost stopped. And also there are coal projects being retired. Like Badarpur wala hai, there was Delhi pollution issue, and government has said that you should close all the plants within 50 to 70 kilometers vicinity of national capital. So there are a lot of plants in Panipat, in Jhajjar, in Dadri. These are all almost 4 to 5 NTPC large and even private plants and state GENCOs, which are now required to put up some kind of pollution control measures. And there has been a good growth in the solar capacities. So irrespective of this chart, which shows that there has been a growth in the solar and wind, the share of coal in the total Indian grid is as high as 80%. Because solar and wind are only generating for few months or few days in a week or few hours a day. Hydropower is there, but it has a limitation that the flow of many rivers has dwindled, has decreased. So that is the reason why, even irrespective of high share of renewables in the grid, we'll see in the coming slides, the share of coal in the actual power, in the actual energy portfolio is very high. Yeah, so this chart will tell you that almost 78% is coming from thermal power. Around renewables are contributing around 10%. Hydropower another 10%. So we hardly have 20% penetration of green power in terms of the grid penetration, but in terms of the installed capacity, these figures rise almost to the double the level. Why? Because these are having nameplate or the plate capacities very high, but the actual generation is low because their PLFs are very low. So wind projects which are old, which are having say a vintage of 5 to 7 years, they generate on a year in an average around 20 to 25% per year. So it means out of 8,760 hours in a year, they only generate power equivalent to 20%, 25%, 30% in some cases, new cases. Whereas solar also works on less than 20 to 19%, average on a 19% per annum. Now, this also gives a kind of reason why we should increase the energy resources, because the per capita consumption of India is around 15 to 1600 units, whereas the global average is 5 times the Indian values or Indian figures. So this also is very important factor to know that when we want to be considered as a serious or a very strong economy, of energy consumption has to increase, or increase in share of the, or you can say equivalent to the global averages. Another important issue which comes out here is the large carbon intensity of the Indian grid. Why? Because it is having a preponderance on coal. So that is the reason also we are now shifting away from new coal plants. If you read the annual report of the Coal India, it says that it is now embarking on strategies to reduce the emissions from its own use. How? They are trying to start projects based on coal-based gasification. So the carbon intensity of the fuel, the liquid or the gas generated out of coal would be lower than the coal. So that may be the kind of business strategies the Coal India and other companies have to evolve. Even NTPC is now trying to dewean itself from putting up new coal projects. It is not getting soft funds from the World Bank as it used to get earlier, because the global funding agencies have also given a commitment that they would be trying to promote only the green fuels. In the Indian clean tech sector, this chart shows you that the current installed capacity is around 90 gigawatts. Major share is around solar and wind, around 35 gigawatts each. So around 80% is coming from solar and wind. And the hydropower, the biomass, is almost constant for last 3 to 4 years because of issues of the good site availability and the fuel availability in case of biomass plants. And this is the chart I have taken from Bridge to India, which is a consultancy group, their report. It shows that around 70 gigawatts is the installed capacity of the wind and solar, and another 50 gigawatts are in the pipeline in the coming days. This also gives a good picture of what are the kind of project modes. So project can sell directly to the utilities for their own captive consumption, or through some kind of power trading companies, which are central or federal agencies. And we can see from this chart what has been the growth of the Indian wind and solar and the other renewable technologies over the last 20 years. And there has been a mixed impact of the regulations or the policies. So for probably students from the climate policy group, this is also an important slide to ponder upon. So we have the solar mission, the NAPCC, the tariff guidelines, the solar, the power obligations, and the renewable certificates. So these 4 to 5 important policies or the interventions have really helped India to grow its renewable sector. It is among the top 4 sectors globally, which itself is a shining example of growing the sector without much of subsidies. I had worked earlier with MNRE, and I know the total budget of MNRE was only few hundred crores, whereas the projects used to come on board or on the ground was of several thousand megawatts. So the projects were not getting any kind of direct subsidies, but indirect kind of benefits, which really attracted investors from all over the world. And what are the fiscal benefits? So there are some corporate tax exemptions, the availability of accelerated depreciation, the waiver on the transmission charges, small subsidies for especially for the agriculture sector, and FDI under the automatic routes. Now, these all 4 to 5 interventions doesn't require much of subsidies, except for the, I think, the Kusum scheme, the solar agriculture pump sets. Because others, with some kind of reduction in the tax rates, indirectly pulls in a lot of companies. Then what are the other kind of policy benchmarks, or you can say the good policies of the Indian market? The solar park policy. Now, this is a kind of plug and play parks wherein you have identified park, you have identified transmission line, the consumers, the discoms are also identified. You just come to projects. So this is one of the very good policy instrument used by the government. And they have almost 20 solar parks spread over the Indian landmass from Ladakh to Kanyakumari. They identify the contiguous land, which is in a way indirectly non-suitable for agriculture activities, and then they put up solar parks. And they invite global bids. And there is a federal agency which is known as SECI, the Solar Corporation. So you have the companies tying up not with DISCOM directly, but with the central agencies. Because DISCOM, the distribution companies, are in the red in many states. So they may have payment related issues. So a central agency as NTPC or SECI or the PTC, the power trading company, they come into picture. So they, in a way, take out some of the risks because their balance sheets are strong. In a way, this attracts the investors from the globe to put up solar projects because low risk also leads to lower cost of capital and large set of investors. This indirectly leads to a kind of a virtuous cycle because this leads to lower tariffs or the cost of generation because of the lower capital cost, the higher large size of projects bringing into picture the economies of scale. So these kind of aspects are very important when you work with some kind of policy institution, maybe in the future or in your internship, what all things are being done to promote climate friendly technologies. The other is the renewable targets. So many states have got targets as high as 25% for the coming years. And this was indirectly, so India is a classic case wherein the electricity is a concurrent subject. But these kind of measures are pushing some kind of central policies for the states to adopt. And states have been good enough to adopt many of these central policies. They are free not to may go for their own targets, but indirectly the center is being pushing them that if you meet these targets, you get certain kind of subsidies or some special low cost funds, or you get a special dispensation to have the low cost solar and wind power. And what has these interventions led to the solar and wind price crashing to 2 rupees 50 paisa, 2 rupees 40 paisa. This indirectly has pulled in more investors and also the consumers, the discoms, which were initially wary of taking solar and wind. Why? Because that time the cost was 6 rupees, 7 rupees. Now the coal price is 3.5, 4 rupees. For the new gas projects, it is 5 to 6 rupees. But for the solar and wind projects which are new, it is as low as 2.5 to 3 rupees. And for projects which are even selling 24/7 clean power, the latest bids gives a picture of around 3 rupees. This has been the kind of impact of very good policies on the Indian energy market, which in a way should be studied by other countries, especially the developing world, how they can use these very good policies to promote green power and at almost abysmal subsidies. There is hardly any subsidy on these projects. What are the emerging trends? So there is indirectly a kind of, you can say, a double-edged sword wherein large investors are coming into, they're squeezing in, they're crowding out the smaller investors. Initially, I used to know a lot of people who were putting up very small kilowatt scale turbines. Why? Because these were small roadside shops, but they were in good equity. So they just used to put in the money to get tax-free returns and also some depreciation benefits on their parent company's balance sheet. So this was kind of win-win situation wherein small companies, because a solar wind project, maybe a turbine used to cost that time as low as 20 million rupees. So you need, just as an equity investor, you need to put up 20% of the 25% of that. That is 5 million, 50 lakh rupees, hardly anything. And then indirectly you get the same money back in terms of the AD benefits because some gold plating issues initially. But now what we have seen in the last at least 6 months, 8 months, a lot of M&As are happening. These large companies have come into picture. They are squeezing out the smaller companies. There's also a kind of issue wherein some kind of equity related challenge wherein smaller investors are unable to participate. So the solar projects, the companies are putting up projects as high as 2000 megawatts. That will require.
But sir, I have a question. Because of all of these, बहुत ज़्यादा ये जो low tariff propose करे just to get the contracts, but actually when they are not able to fulfill these contracts because of the market, जो भी raw material का actual cost चल रहा है. There are many companies which are suffering from this thing. And they are facing losses because of this, because they're taking the orders upfront at very low cost, at very low bids, and later on they are not able to fulfill those orders.
So you are partly right. In some cases, the projects have not actually taken off the ground. Why?
Not
because
partly. I was working in this field for last 7 years before I quit the job and joined.
Okay.
And let me tell you, हरियाणा में 2 साल पहले जब डिस्कॉम को हैंड ओवर किया गया था, हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट ने हरेडा से सब्सिडी वाला पूरा केस लेकर डिस्कॉम को हैंड ओवर कर दिया. It's been 2 years, and since then there was not one single application was filed in the residential sector, because everybody knows that Discom has no money for that. And
so that
not
will be a
Discom,
kind of
so that is a kind Discom, of even the companies which were shortlisted as a player by the Discom, they are itself not accepting and not pitching forward for the customer. They are also backing out कि हम लोग नहीं कर सकते. जिस रेट पे डिस्कॉम ने उनको ऑर्डर दिया है कि आप जाके सोलर प्लांट सेटअप कीजिए रेसिडेंशियल में, वो उनको पड़ ही नहीं रहा है. 47 रुपीज पर वॉट पीक मेगावाट में पड़ता है. रेसिडेंशियल का 1 किलोवाट में कभी नहीं पड़ता. तो उसमें 30% सब्सिडी देना हो, दे आर नॉट एबल टू डू दैट ऑर्डर. 2 साल हो गए इस चीज को.
Yeah, so let me clarify. Yeah, you have raised the right question that there are issues with regard to the rooftop solar, especially in the residential sector. Why? Because the discoms themselves are not very much interested, because they are losing some of their good paying customers to the other solar companies. Why? Because if I am meeting a part of my needs on solar power and I am high paying customer to a discom, for a Terry University also campus which is having 50 kilowatt rooftop system on its roof, solar system, which is generating around 50,000 units per annum, it is obviously de-weaning or reducing the tariff or the money we used to pay to the local discom in Delhi. So we are paying around 8.5 to 9 rupees per unit, and we are paying to the company of solar lesser than this value, so that we get a kind of gain in. But after some years, the discoms now have understood that they would be now losing all customers. So that's why they are in a way trying to disrupt this market indirectly by not giving permissions regularly, by playing some games, by not putting up subsidies. But what I'm saying that the total renewable capacity in India, the solar part, is around 40%, around 35 gigawatts. Out of the 35 gigawatts, only 3,000 has come up in the rooftop sector. So the part which is having problems are only the rooftop sector. Why? Because these low cost bids, the 2 rupees, 3 rupees bids, have really given a kind of distorted market signals to the discoms that why should they be paying higher values as a kind of, especially in the case of net metering, wherein I can also, as a household owner, can sell my surplus electricity to a grid at some kind of tariffs, kind of net off. So the discoms are indirectly thinking that why should they be paying higher values or higher tariffs than these 3 or 4 rupees which have been arrived in the bids. And you are right that the cost of project in large aggregated capacities of say 1,000 megawatts obviously would be much lower than the rooftop segments. Why? Because there is a kind of case wherein you have economies of scale, you have large companies, you have very much professionals who are interested. For a rooftop, many of us would be calling the companies to come up and use our rooftop for say a few kilowatt systems, but that is very difficult for the companies to justify their business returns because of these smaller size projects. Even the banks are not interested unless there is a kind of aggregation of loans, wherein the PNB and the SBI are doing right now. But you are right that there are some kind of flip issues, but overall the segment has prospered in the Indian market. And these are teething troubles as and when now the Electricity Act is to be amended. And one of the amendments says that some kind of franchises will come into picture. So these kind of discouragement of kind of acts to disrupt the market would obviously reduce a little. And these are the solar parks. So these are the large parks which are very much different from what the student was telling about the rooftop projects. These are as high as 2,000 to 3,000 megawatts in one single site. And that really gives a lot of value to, in a way, disrupt the coal market to substitute coal. But she was telling that the rooftop issues are there. Why? Because people go for some kind of subsidies. People want subsidies which are difficult to be. The government will make the presentation in the parliament that these are available, but effectively on the market side it is difficult. And there are issues with regard to the low size projects. The developers are not making much money, so they are not interested for the large parts. And what are the new technologies? The floating solar is coming up. The wind solar hybrids are coming up. The agriculture pump sets is a very good kind of story for the Indian market, because I was in touch with a company which is based out of Anand in Gujarat, and they have set up with using philanthropic money from the Tata Trust. They have pooled in the land of the local villagers, the agriculture, the farmers, basically 5 to 6 different farmers have pooled in money to have a small system, solar-based irrigation pump sets. Now, water is only required for a few months in a year, and the remaining part, the water is not extracted. The electricity surplus is sold to the grid, and these farmers are making as high as 50,000 rupees per annum as a kind of additional income on their farmlands because of use of the surplus land for putting up smaller size solar systems. So what is this known as agri-photovoltaics, which is coming up in a big way. Other issue is that when you raise the height of these photo modules, you can still use the land for at least some of the crops. And these research activities are being made in many of the Indian agriculture laboratories, that whether it would really disrupt the crops or it will divide the crop of a certain nutrient. And these technologies really obviously would come in the coming months. And then there are storage-based solar systems also. So any questions? I'm opening the floor for 5 minutes for any question and answer so that we can have a discussion.
While you are right, sir, that these opportunities are giving a very good earning opportunities to farmers and all, but because of the lack of proper selection of vendors, okay, because a layman doesn't know what is right, what is wrong, because it's a very what should I say, new field, and people are
So I
still
will
full of
okay.
myths
Acha,
and
your good
all.
name? Your good name, please.
Priyanka.
Okay.
Priyanka
So you
Agrawal.
are from which batch? You are from which
CSP.
program? CSP.
CSP.
I will give a good analogy. Maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years back, we all used to rush to the local market to probably get our new cell phones, to get their systems being added or some numbers to be copied. Right now, everything has been done at home. So the moment this becomes a DIY, the kind of do it yourself activity, then we'll be happy to put up our own solar projects on the rooftop. Or maybe farmers can put up with minimal skill sets. Some kind of hands-on skills can be provided to the people, especially the students who are passing out from the
Ye-
schools and colleges. Let them do it.
Absolutely right.
And this is a kind of
Absolutely
concept which is
right.
in,
And
yeah.
उसके लिए पीएम ने एक योजना भी निकाली थी, स्किल डेवलपमेंट योजना थी. आई कांट रिकॉल एग्जैक्टली द नेम. देयर वाज वन जिसके अंडर में काफी सारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स और स्टूडेंट्स वगैरह को 2 days to 1 month का क्या कहते हैं ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता था फॉर दिस वेरी पर्पस. But the question is कि still this skill set is very limited to few people. Okay, it's not widely spread in India. The labor cost is so cheap that people still prefer to लोगों को बाहर मतलब आउटसोर्स करना प्रेफर करते हैं कि somebody can come and do this for me. They don't like to do DIY. Still the scenario is there in India. In Europe, in US, people like to build their own houses, but not in India. In India, they like
Maybe
to hire a
yeah,
builder.
good examples. But what I can say from my experience, that as and when the technology further becomes more decentralized, more number of people gets acquainted with these systems, and you see more of use cases maybe in your neighbors, in your family, extended families, then obviously the acceptance would increase, improve, and you will have more number of people who can easily part or maybe help you out to set up these systems. But maybe it will take some
Definitely
time. Why?
right.
Because the Indian renewable
Definitely
story
right,
is very
sir.
new. The solar sector has
Definitely.
just come up in 5 years. So probably give us 2 to 3 more years, you will see the difference on the ground, because the focus right now is on large size projects. The smaller companies are not so much in the picture with good kind of
Even
reputation.
even those
Yeah.
who are very good, who have good reputations, they are not able to progress because of their other competitors who are ruining the market, who are exploiting the market. There are many people who are and because of these negative reviews from see आपने कहा ना कि अगर मेरे neighbors अगर लगाएंगे and if I get the reviews, positive feedback from them, I'll be encouraged to do that. Vice versa, if my neighbor gave me a negative review, why would I go ahead and invest my money? And the
Correct.
second thing for this thing is कि initial setup cost is too high. Initial setup cost, although there are
I will
good
not agree with you, because right now a kilowatt system costs around 50K, and most of us would be having an iPhone, maybe some kind of good
but sir,
phones, which is also costing more than that.
nobody is able to nobody is there to put up 1 kilowatt system only na. At least people are asking for 2 to 3 minimum. Even the vendors are saying I cannot come up for a 1 kilowatt system at your house. I cannot.
So,
Minimum
so,
is 3
so in
kilowatts
this
for which
kind of
I can
picture, the
come.
students like you would be very much, in a way, helpful for the sector. Why? Because we can have projects being put up by entrepreneurs. So some of our students from the renewable energy batch, or my batches, the seniors have now started their own ventures. Kind of entrepreneurs have become, especially in the rooftop sector, and
Sir,
they are
I
trying
have
to fill up these gaps, at least to some extent, whatever extent they can do. But maybe in the coming years, we can expect more number of people to venture out, to add to these values, more number of this Uber and these kind of strategies being coming up, wherein you, in a way, because yesterday we had a session by an expert on blockchain energy, and he was telling us on peer-to-peer energy trading. Now, as in I see more benefit out of it rather than pure energy generating business. I'll be happy to put up some kind of effort, some kind of thoughts that okay, let me have my roof being used and let me trade the energy in real time so that I can maximize my returns. But obviously, these thoughts are they. I'm sharing with you. Maybe you can take it forward when we discuss more in the coming days, in the coming months. Yes, Akash sir.
No
Yeah,
doubt,
Dr.
you are
Sapan, thank you very
absolutely
much.
right.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you. I was just listening to your observations, Dr. Sapan's narrative about how solar is coming up and what are the potential, the new use cases which are coming up. I also heard from you several questions which are all very pertinent questions, but there has been a drastic shift recently. I mean, again, we are not there yet, but the momentum is such that there will be a lot more solar in days to come, in weeks to come, in months to come, and in years to come, and this journey is going to continue for the next 35, maybe 40 years. That's how it looks like, maybe 25. So let me be a little conservative. The point I
But
wanted to
won't
convey,
you think
uh,
we
just a second, beta. There was, I mean, so I'm coming from some second-hand perspectives. The last year, my brother called me or shared with me a photograph from his house. He said, Akash, I have installed a rooftop solar. It is the Panasonic modules, and we use so much of energy, but then whatever excess energy comes to us, we supply it back to the grid. So for me, I immediately shared it with Dr. Atul, and Dr. Atul said, "Oh, interesting. That's how." So, matlab, things are really catching up. I'll also share another second-hand perspective by one of our PhD student who is, who was an MBA from XLRI Bhubaneswar. He runs his own company out of Sambalpur, Odisha. So he told me that as we were talking to one of our other automobile cluster clients, he asked me, okay, do they have a requirement for solar? I said yes, but they don't have the kind of money to invest. He said, I don't want any money, just give me the space. I will install the solar and I will somehow get the money out of that by way of getting the energy for the customer as well as distributing around in the Noida cluster.
so
And
so
just last point, I'm completing it. Thank you. And then I said, then what is the kind of recovery you are looking at? Matlab, when you invest so much on solar, maybe so many kilowatt hours, what would be the kind of recovery period for you? And he said, we considering the prices we have for solar photovoltaics now, he said the recovery will be a 3-year kind of recovery. So that from a business point of view is really, really promising and really attractive. So if a third person who is in the business, who does the business at scale, can get the recovery done in 3 years, I mean, I think that's a very positive sign. Okay, now those were the two things which I thought I wanted to share, and I end with the following statement. Terry
sir,
School of Advanced
I
Studies.
agree
Beta,
with
just
all
last
of
point,
your
last point.
points.
No, I need, you don't have to agree. I'm just saying we are just
No,
sharing,
no,
and
no.
there is a lot
I
more to learn from your end
I
also. Uh, we are participating in a design challenge called as an Efficiency for Access Design Challenge. This is sponsored by an agency in UK. Engineers Without Borders is our technology partner, but design challenge is happening for efficiency of devices, devices which run on direct solar or inverter solar, meaning DC devices. So there also we are really coming up with some, at least we are striving for new ideas. How can, so if you replace a refrigerator by an optimized system, you actually replace 17.5 solar photovoltaic systems. So I think those are, and again, I'm not from a solar field, I am from a water field. So when Dr. Sapan was saying about the use cases about water pumps, solar water pumps, I was listening to him very, very carefully. I think I'm pretty much done with whatever limited, very, very limited experience I have with solar. And I would like to hear from you and other students also. Please, I think Dr. Sapan has shared several unique stories, I mean, cases in front of us. And I think let us all hear from everybody. And your name, please. I was getting, I mean, there were several questions, very important questions from your side. Your name, please. CSP से आप जो बोल रहे हैं.
प्रियंका अग्रवाल सर, मैंने इस
Priyanka.
फील्ड में
Thanks, Priyanka.
एक्चुअली 8 साल वर्क किया है सर, बिफोर
Oh.
जॉइनिंग टेरी, एंड आई हैव वर्कड
Mhm. Hello.
with Terry towards this installation parts, this business
Okay.
procurement part. आप मुझे जितने भी business case scenarios बता रहे हैं ना, I have worked on all of them for like last 7-8 years. Okay,
Mhm.
और मैं आपको जो बता रही हूँ वो मैं फर्स्ट हैंड केस सिनारियोस बता रही हूँ जो मैंने रियल में एक्सपीरियंस किए हैं फ्रॉम
Right.
माय इन माय while I was working in this field,
Sure.
when I was interacting with the clients and customers, कि
Okay.
अगर मतलब किसी ने लगवाया है and they are not getting positive reviews, the person is so scared to invest that
Correct.
1 lakh rupee ki, why should I invest 1 lakh rupee? My neighbor invested and he's not getting returns.
Right.
The other
Right.
person invested, he's not getting his subsidy for the last 2 years. Why should I invest?
Right.
These are the residential case scenarios. Apart from that, the one where you mentioned that people doesn't have to put up their money, that's for the commercials only,
Correct. You're right.
industries and commercials. And
You're right.
in that also, uh, people are so scared because the other party is coming using their roof, using their infrastructure, so they're so scared because they have to give their infrastructure to somebody else, and the excess of it, as well as
Uh-huh.
it's although the is getting recovered in 3 years, but
Mhm.
that PPA, it is usually known as PPA in general language. That
Mhm.
PPA is normally signed for 10 to 15 years,
Okay.
and within ROI and year on year rates of units, everything. So
Mhm.
all वो सारी चीजें जब मिलती है ना, तो और उसके बाद जब आप प्राइसेस जो ऑफर होती है और उनका जो लैंड अप होता है, इवन आई विल टेल यू वन सिनेरियो. हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ दिस कंपनी सोना BLW Comstar?
No.
It's a Sanjay Kapoor company,
Acha.
ex-husband of Karishma Kapoor. Okay,
Acha.
so they have their warehouses and their factory set up in Gurgaon, and
Acha.
their first PPA was signed with Renew Power in 2014 at some 6 rupees per watt peak का unit rate price. उस टाइम
Right.
पे उनको जो इंडस्ट्री डिस्कॉम रेट्स इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के देने पड़ते थे, वो 8 रुपीज और 10 रुपीज होते थे, एंड ओपन कनेक्शन था उनका, ओपन एक्सेस,
Mhm.
and then you get, okay,
Okay.
and that PPA was signed in 2014 but was not executed till 2016 because the rates were not feasible.
Mhm. Sure. So.
2016 में again another company came forward and signed the same PPA at the same price, but
Mhm.
again they were not able to deliver for
Okay.
next 1.5 year.
Okay. Makes sense.
So
Very
these
true.
are
I
the real
acknowledge.
life
Uh-huh.
scenarios, and
Okay.
not there are many cases. There are many
Mhm.
cases.
Right.
Orient Craft, JTech has just signed up for
Yeah.
all over India. JTech ने
In.
अपना sign किया था. It's been 2 years. That has not been surfaced till now. So
Mhm.
there are many cases. Because लोग जब sign कर रहे होते हैं, ये companies जब sign कर रही होती है, तो just to because they are very small companies.
Mhm.
Whatever you say, apart from Adani, Tata, जिनके पास एक अच्छा खासा बैकिंग है because of their
Mhm.
other subsidiaries,
Right.
जो नई कंपनीज है, who doesn't have this backing,
Okay.
वो इनको साइन करते हैं just to increase their क्या कहते हैं turnover and to get their bank credit limits. Okay,
Mhm.
but in reality they are not able to deliver, and that is the thing which is screwing up this market.
Okay, I would just calibrate my words there, but yeah, it is impacting the market and it is like really negatively influencing the market. In fact, Dr. Sapan and I, used to have a couple of some discussions on how the finance situation is changing. You know, so I mean, what the kind of perspectives you shared with the class as well as Dr. Sapan and me are very, very relevant. In fact, they are the first-hand experience. So thank you very much. First of all, I want to say thanks. You know, and I come from a philosophy, or I believe in a philosophy is known as bad news is good news. Why do I say so? Because if I know something is wrong about something, I can probably do something about it. But if I don't know what is wrong, so you have raised several, you know, bad things which are there, meaning, or several concerns which are there in the solar photovoltaic sector. So I think your reviews are very, very important. What I would encourage, and maybe for me also, what I would like to connect with you on a longer time period, both me, Dr. Sapan, and our design challenge team, and get your perspective, so that as we go about working in this sector, what are those challenges, what are those bottlenecks, what are those thresholds we need to cross, and accordingly we will, maybe definitely we would like you to be part of our team. So that is one, from a climate point of view and from a experience point of view. So I will leave it at that because time is now a little constrained. So, but I think your views are very, very valued. Anybody else within the class who could kind of reflect on Dr. Sapan's narrative and discussion which he has shared, larger discussion which he has shared with the class. Thanks again. Your name was Priyanka Agarwal, right?
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Priyanka.
you.
Much appreciate. Yeah, keep in touch. I mean, this discussion continues. Yeah, for us.
Definitely.
Yes, yes. Now, others, please. I know there will be students like, I'm trying to think
Excuse me,
of
sir.
name. Boliye.
Sir, I'm Ujjwal from ESRM. Actually, I had a question for Sapan, sir.
Mhm.
Sir showed a slide in the initial phases that was a bar chart, and if you can just go to that slide, please.
Can you please come again with the question? The which bar chart?
So in the initial presentation slides, there was a bar chart that was showing the uh, some of the energy things with the airs.
You can just let me
I
know
think the
which
fifth
slide I
one,
need
sir.
to stop. I'll just run the slides once again.
Yes, sir, this one. The fifth slide, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know why was there a dip in the year 2015?
So there are many reasons. One is that there was some kind of slowdown in the Chinese market. Second was there was some kind of reduction in the increase in the price of crude in these years. So indirectly that leads to some energy efficiency activities. And fourth, there was a large scale addition of solar and wind starting from 2014. Why? Because there was a crash in the solar module prices. So we had some kind of energy being substituted by solar and wind. And last aspect was also that the global economy was shifting from industry based GDP growth to service based growth. So we have more number of industries coming from the service sector, basically banking, IT, BPOs, health. So these are the factors which would have indirectly or directly impacted the global energy demand. This may have also been disrupted because of some independent or individual country cases. So we may have some kind of growth in the Indian market, but maybe some other countries with large consumption like China, like US, like Canada, like Australia, they may have seen a dip. So there can be multiple cases, multiple reasons for the dips and the growth in the global energy demand.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah. We can take
Sir,
one or two more questions before we close session.
sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I am Shreyash from ESRM. Sir, I want to ask that if I cover my home with a sunroof, solar rooftop, so then my house will be cooler as compared to before, or it will remain same.
You are saying that the solar modules would act as an additional layer on the roof so that the solar heat which would come to your house in normal circumstance would get reduced. Obviously, you are right. A part of the heat obviously would be reflected back, so you have more some kind of coolness after the modules are installed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
To all present here, thank you very much for your inputs. I got Priyanka, and then it was Ujjwal, and then the question came from one more student. I just want to, I have shared several second-hand experiences. I want to share a first-hand experience with you. This first-hand experience with solar happened when somebody gifted us a toy. It was a simple toy of using a small solar photovoltaic, and several projects you can do. You can create a windmill, you can create a small kind of one was a windmill, the other one was but most of them were moving basically. a very, very small solar photovoltaic, like of the size of half a credit card, that kind of a small size. And then there was also a small motor. Again, this toy was built in China, came to me. But the thing which I want to share with you is the kick I got. So I was helping my son, who is now 10 years old, to set this up. We fixed the wires, and we kind of, and we were kind of moving around the house to find out the sun. And we went to the front balcony, didn't find it. When we went to the back balcony, the sun was there. And then we turned the solar photovoltaic towards the sun. And then, it didn't happen. So my son said, Papa, doesn't work. Then all of a sudden, when the right amount of I kind of moved the solar photovoltaic in a little angle, and somewhere it picked up that angle, direct angle from the sun. The incident rays hit the solar photovoltaic, and then the fan started moving. It was, one of those aha moments which I got after a long time. Maybe it was a toy, yes, but the kind of experience which I got with that, I cannot explain. Matlab, it was really, I still feel that small smile comes to my mind the way I felt that time. So I would encourage you, of course we can talk about solar, and we can talk about the several issues, but the potential it has, and also the science component. Wow, the energy comes, matlab, all of a sudden the sun has energy. That kind of experience is really satisfying for me as a curious engineer or a curious individual. So I just thought I will share with you, and it was really nice. Matlab, I still remember that. Yeah, we have a long way to go, I know, but you are there. आप लोग भी तो है ना? Yeah. ठीक है. With that, I think, are there any more questions? Dr. Sapan has opened the floor, although time is up, but we are still feeling ki if there are any questions, nobody should go back with a question. Anybody? Okay. No one? Yeah. Hungry? ठीक है. All right, Dr. Sapan, I want to say a sincere thank you for your lecture, and also the kind of dialogue you initiated with the class and the student. It was really nice. I mean, I was listening to several new discussion topics, and it was really good for me to understand what is going on in the field.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Same here. I also got to know a new user perspective, and also the side from other side that people are having views on the issues with regard to the Indian solar and the renewable sector. Obviously, this
Right.
batch is extremely intelligent. I really foresee some of them joining hands together to start their own entrepreneurship to promote rooftop and other smaller decentralized systems for both providing clean energy, to provide new employment opportunities, and also to develop the country's, you can say, rural areas and the remote areas using these decentralized systems. So I say a goodbye to everybody. Have a nice learning sessions at TERI or TERI School. You can always come back to us with any kind of thoughts, remarks, and we'll be happy to help you out. And I'll be sharing the presentation if people want it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm closing the session now. Kaji, thank you for inviting me for this good lecture. And
It was our
I
pleasure, sir. With your
yeah, sir.
experience,
Thank you.
I think we are enriched. Thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
when the students get back to Terry
Thank you, sir.
University, we do have a solar photovoltaic system, and we do have a windmill. So maybe next time when things become normal and when you are in campus, I'm sure you will get a chance to see. I believe 25% of our energy, sir, we are getting from the solar and the wind, right, for the university campus.
Yeah, sir. It depends on the season also. When we have large cooling load in the summers, it dips to 7-8%. When the winters, obviously, we can meet more demand from the solar.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Great. All right. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Please take care. Be safe.
Thank you, sir.